It doesn't matter. I don't think. Just pushing it up a little. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Canaanland Moors class. Once again, all the Moors, peace, love, and hotep.
Islam.
We are here once again to beat this dead horse.
Rome must fall.
Rome must fall.
Rome has fallen.
Rome must fall. We're walking in rubble right now, Morris, but we just don't see it yet. We're walking in rubble. We just don't see it yet. Right? We just don't see it yet, but we're there. I just wanted to
Start with prayer.
start, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
The, that's why. That's why, right? That's why Canaanland Moors build as Moors, right? Because only one more would come to class and say, "Oh, you start with the prayer."
Five on the
Five
left,
on the left, two on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night
By night
and by day,
and by day,
through His holy prophet,
through His holy prophet,
Noble Drew Ali,
Noble Drew Ali,
Islam.
Islam.
Amen. Ra.
Ra.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it back on him. Give thanks for that one, Omar. We're gonna start up just the free newspaper. Everybody just you know pass by free newspaper. First thing we'll talk about is Happy Vaisakhi, Canada, and this is the Sikh festival out here, where even Drake, you know, making quotes on it. You know what I mean? I've been good friends with Nav for a long time, and I just want to wish him, Sikhs, and the Southeast Asian community a happy Baisakhi and a prosperous new year. Drake, Pinball Clemens, look him up. You know, Prime Minister Stephen Harper, Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Below the Prime Minister in our jurisdiction is Premier. Below the jurisdiction of so-called corporate Canada, right? Corporate Canada. There's a position, federal, called Prime Minister. Under that guy is the Premier, and he's provincial. I remember last week when we were beating up Clock of Destiny infiltrators, and Buddy came out of his own mouth and called himself Premier. Okay, over here, Premier is subordinate to federal. Again, letting you know what jurisdiction they're in. And people want to back that when Library of Congress is upholding CMB harder than Clock of Destiny right now. Library of Congress, the Library of Congress is honoring CMB more than people who call themselves Clock of Destiny that are talking about they're the premier, which is a subordinate jurisdiction in Canaan land. As far as Moore's concerned, we don't even send writs to the premier. He ain't nobody. What are you sending writs to him for? He's subordinate. But, you know, the hand that gives controls. So the Sikhs get their full page letter for their Happy New Year because they're the Sikhs and all this type of stuff. But when Moors first started, finding out about proclamations and stuff like that, you hit them up. You're the mayor of whatever. Chicago is a sister city for quote unquote city of Toronto. So if they said, what I mean, Noble Drew Ali Day or whatever like that, I mean, as the sister city, why wouldn't we get down with it? Nah, we can't really do it, because, the Moorish thing is a religious thing, and, the city of Toronto can't, you know, support religious stuff, whatever. But, Sikhs is some religious stuff, you know, it's some religious stuff. But, they could do that because the Sikhs took the check to be over here. You know what I mean? Be front row in all the basketball games and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they got to shut down the city and do what they do from a corporate level. They have NOI power out here. They have fiat power.
I realize the reason they got that is because somewhere back home, they, they talked, not they talked, but they gave their slaves.
Right.
Basically, they sent all these people over here to work
Right.
for the slave master here.
Right. For the slave master here.
So the higher ups.
Because the corporate over there is corrupt.
Right.
The same
So
thing like the Europeans said.
so
Oh, we're not.
so the reserves here, where the chief man signs off for, and all the minions basically suffer due to what the chief gets, and the chief gets the limo and stuff.
Right.
That's the same
Right.
thing that's
Right.
going on.
Same thing. Same thing. Right. And then those people are speaking from a perspective of, if something goes down, nationality.
Right.
Better call, our people over there, and you know what I mean.
Right.
Let out whoever or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Right. So they have the fiat power, but they also have the underlying current of nationality.
Right.
So that if the fiat thing, game falls short, they can still go somewhere.
Yes.
They can still go back somewhere. They might be, not Benzes and stuff like that, but it's gonna be Hudson stuff again. But hey, you know what I mean? At least we're not under the slave master's arm anymore. And that's the same thing that's supposed to be done here. With Negro, black, colored people, African American, conscious community, black, whatever, anything other than Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moors. Anything other than that, you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
And if you're a foreigner in your mindset, that's on you. If you're a foreigner on paper, you can fix that. But if you're a foreigner in your mindset, in your own land,
Right.
don't worry. They got concentration camps for you.
Yeah.
They got taxing you to death. They got pay all these fees for whatever. They got, you work for 20 years and then just get a package of $2,000, right? Yeah, right? Then you got to pay out 2 years before you're supposed to retire and all that stuff. You work for some place 40 years and all that. Ship's going down.
I just want to, just a quick one here to add into that. I realized as I was watching it again, me in the ticker, CP24
Yeah.
thing, right? I watched, they had this thing going on in the last couple of weeks where the Catholic school board is looking to cut $50 million.
Yeah,
So they've been cutting principals.
yeah,
Same thing that we saw on this other, on one of these other CDs that I
Right,
was
right.
watching, where they cut all these people from
yeah,
Philly.
yeah,
But what I realized was that this was much deeper than what's going on in Philly, because to us, when we do the overstanding of what the Catholic school board represents,
Yeah.
and who that they're being backed
they're
by,
backed by it.
if the Catholic school board is cutting,
Yeah,
if that's like the password,
yeah.
but stuff is done.
It's,
It's done, right?
they're hanging on by a nail right now.
If the Catholic school board, who has limitless,
Yeah,
unlimited bank accounts,
right. Fiat power to the roof.
anything.
Yeah,
they're now having to try to
Yeah.
cut.
Straight.
That right there is right there is the secret path, the sign.
Right, and
They're leading.
and that's what it is, right? That's what it is. Why we're gonna tell Moors, don't play around. We're gonna get birth certificates and all that stupid crap right there, because all those things are tied to a debt. And if you claim a debt,
Right.
then kavit emptor, because you should have be aware what you were dealing with. So we just wanted to, show you that Drake, Mike Pinball Clemens, Deepa Makta, Mayor Bonnie Crombie, City of Mississauga, Honorable, Honorable Kathleen Wynne, Premier of Ontario, Premier, Honorable. You see how, right? And then in the letter from last week, the guy said he's an Honorable, and then he's a Premier. The Clock of Destiny guys who sold out Moors.
From where? From a different jurisdiction?
Yeah, New York.
They sold out, sold them out how?
Yeah, no, it's on it. You can check the archives. I've heard it and stuff.
So these guys sold us out, you're saying?
Yeah, they're just,
But he was calling himself premier?
yeah, thinking, oh, yeah, premier, I could use that because that's whatever, whatever. But in different jurisdictions, that ain't what status is premier. You have status like vizier,
Yeah, yeah. He's just
grand
exposing,
sheik,
he's
and all that.
exposing,
You're gonna abandon all that to be a premier?
he's exposing his hand, or exposing who he is.
No. So yeah, so Honorable Kathleen Wynne, Premier of Ontario, Vince Carter, NBA superstar and former Raptor,
No.
Mayor
No.
Linda Jeffrey, Russell Peters, comedian. Make sure you go check Russell Peters because that guy is funny. Just go watch something by Russell Peters. He's funny. He's funny. And Mayor John Tory, City of Toronto. All of them, guess what all of them know? Guess what the big secret is? The big secret is that all these people, right, prominent people, according to the standards of, society, world, everybody knows Vince Carter jumped over a guy, and he was, he was down there, you know what I'm saying? So Toronto, people know about here, right? The world knows about here. And it's real crazy how they never once called them brown people. They told them about their Southeast Asian community. They said Sikh. They said things like Guru and Singh and Baishaki. South Asians, Sikh community. How come you call them black? Because trust me, you come out here, you see some Sikhs. They don't look like what you think a Sikh looks like. I'm telling you because we're here in the most multicultural city in the world, and everybody comes here. And we already told people that the Sikhs and the Rastafarians are like this, because all of them wear a turban and they have a beard. And that's a secret covenant, ancient covenant, that the mystic guys are the guys with the turbans and the beards. That's a mystic code. That's why people respect Rastafarians, even though they say black and go back to Africa and talk foolish stuff like that. Because from a symbolic perspective, they're the mystics, or as we call them today, the Moors. And they never once called the Sikhs black people or brown people or any other light-skinned brown people. But there's some light people here too, from South Asia or whatever.
Interesting, they did call them brown when I told you I was watching on the TV when the guy was guilty of They were looking for the criminal, right? They didn't
Right.
call him black then.
Right.
They called him the brown,
Right.
brown guy.
You know, why are they gonna call him? Why are they gonna call a criminal, right? Why do they call somebody who engages in the acts under the definition of black or brown or whatever, right? Why would they treat them other than what they are? Out of law. They don't want to bring him into the South Asian community. That guy that did whatever he did, and taint their community with the blackness.
And the fact is, activity takes him outside that.
Exactly. Right? And then, it's like, I don't know, no, just so we're clear, right? Just so we're clear. This is just a free newspaper, okay? That you can just go pick up at the subway out there, right? Now, when we look at um, print, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, the concept of marketing is integral to getting the message across, right? If you can't market, then forget whatever, right? There's, as we know, many different demographics, right? And the people who are so-called in charge, they don't look at market like how the common people look at marketing, okay? They look at using imagery on paper or film or video, whatever, billboards, all that, to change people's thinking. That's it. Because you read Treaty of Verona, you already know how they feel about the press. So they're not using that for any good means. But if you are a Moorish scientist, anything you read, you're looking for the hidden code. And the hidden code in what you read is what cracks the brainwash and allows you to really see what you're reading. So all these people picking up this free paper today, right? And then they have Black Eyed Peas guy with a fez on in the newspaper, free newspaper for everybody to see, for everybody to see, for everybody, right? How is it, right? And what does it say? Life, right next to life. And the other interesting thing is that there's not even no article about him in here. What? Why are they showing this guy wearing a fez? Right? Here's all the stuff. Right? You didn't see no other picture of Buddy in here. There's no other picture. How come? Like, why are they gonna show him? They're just gonna show him with a fez on. They don't have an article in here about him. They just have him with a fez on. Because don't get it twisted. You see a brim like this, it's still a fez. I don't care what anybody says. That's what it is. Telling people in the free newspaper that being a Moor is life. And people talk crap about they don't want to be Moors. How can you not be what you are? How can you not be what you are? Because, like we're saying, we're walking on rubble right now. If Moors don't really want to understand what's going on, and you want to go claim this and claim that and whatever like that, just sit back and chill. This thing, we're walking on rubble right now. And we're 102 years later or whatever of walking on rubble. People parading around in rubble talking about rights and shooting people in the back or whatever like that when it's a bankrupt system going on right now. Like, system just, nothing's going on. Nothing can't move. Only the people's wanting to be involved with it. Because, remember, foreigners could go somewhere. All foreigners to the Americas could go somewhere. Just like when you die, you can't take certain stuff with you. When you leave somewhere, you can't take certain stuff with you. So all these foreigners, when they leave here, because they, everybody knows stuff's crashing except Negro, black, colored people, and this is their stuff. And then the Moors are doing what we could do. I mean, claim what you could claim. I mean, it's that system. What's the worst that could happen? You claim something. Whatever. Just claim something. Make claim on something. Claim yourself. But when you have people who really have nowhere to go if stuff, goes down or whatever, you know, their duty is going to be to find people, find people that they can use as collateral damage for their survival. So we want to, this is crazy, but we're going to do our best right here. When I saw this, I was like, whoa, crazy. Um, all these are all the people who been murdered and saying, being misclassified in the media or whatever as black. 2 pages? Wish it was 2 pages. Because, I don't know. Because classified as Negro, black, colored, murdered by some so-called law enforcement guy. tell people about King Alfred plan and stuff like that, that they're going to be, executing, massacring these so-called stateless people. Like, wasn't it said by Moors? Nobody gets passes. I mean, so don't get it twisted that we're justifying something. But really digest. And these are only the ones that we know about. These are the ones right now we're at. Right now we're at 5 pages. Page 5 right now. Page 5. Just because. All the pages, huh? You know how real it is in that field. Field of being stateless. Learn from these examples. Don't be stateless. Because these people have a nigger license to kill. You told people. They have a nigger license to kill. You want to be Negro black colored? Okay. They're being light right now. You know, they're being light. This is no different than same thing. Negro black colored people. No, it's not a mob. It's lone individuals, lone criminals that are taking the position of executing people. How come nobody else? Find me some other people. Find me some other people who are gunned down, murdered on camera like this, and they just take it and don't want to do anything to correct their position. Living a fraud. All examples to use why you must correct your status. Because once you have their instruments, you become property. Once you have their instruments and you don't know how to live within contracts, you become property. You become property. Chattel property. This is not done, but you have to give them their give them their honors. You have to give them theirs. And don't forget, everybody who you know got shot up by some so-called law enforcement, whoever. These people aren't playing. People think that they're playing. After all those shooting and whatever like that, they're still going. They are going hard, and they do not care. Deputy who accidentally shot restrained man is a wealthy exec who pays to play a cop. The not real cop says he mistakenly grabbed his gun instead of his taser. This is by Terrell Germain Starr, April 13, 2015. The Reserve Tulsa County Sheriff's deputy who shot an unarmed black man last week is actually an insurance company executive who has donated weapons, stun guns, and vehicles to the sheriff's office since joining its ranks in 2008. Now, if he's donated weapons and stun guns and vehicles to the sheriff's office, and then he got deputized, other than it being a conflict of interest, shouldn't he know the difference between a taser and a gun? Yeah, yeah. And then he could just push the button because everything's done. Shouldn't he know the difference between a gun and a taser? And the answer is yes, he should. And if he doesn't, that's either gross negligence or depopulation of Negro black colored people. Because remember, you see right here, they're already classified as black. Because guarantee he has some state property on him. That's why first thing they go for is your pockets. That's why it's iron sheet free. Make sure your nationality card's in your pocket. When they pull out something, they better be pulling out something that identifies who you are. From a lawful perspective, not from a corporate perspective. And if you do have something in your pocket that is attached to some type of corporate, quote unquote, person, that contract better have all rights reserved without prejudice, with prejudice, conflict of interest, under threat, duress, coercion, and everything else that you could put on there. Because wealthy executive, whoever, is killing people. Wealthy executive guy. You know when they talk about some banker jumped off a building or whatever like that because, you know, his stocks and all that, he owes people 800 quadrillion dollars or whatever. Okay. This is the other pole to that. That they're not going to take their self out. They're going to go connect with whoever, you know what I mean, needs a contract and go contract as hitmen and assassinate Negro black colored people. This is not some guy who got police training or nothing like that. He's executive that got deputized because he donates weapons, guns. That's just like honorary doctorate from whatever school. You never went there. People pay 50,000 or whatever like that to go to school, can't get no job. And this guy, who never went there, never paid no tuition or nothing like that. Just because his name is whatever, he just gets a doctorate. It's on right now. You think Moors are just? You really think people who don't? Well, can't even say don't, because they know. People who know and aren't telling people about their nationality and birthrights, telling them about all this other stuff, have people debating about, you know what I mean? Why is there a hieroglyphic of a freaking Egyptian kissing his penis or whatever like that? So, you know, that means that's gay. So, you know, these guys over here are the gay guys, so you need to get down with our stuff because, you know, we're the ones that's doing stuff right, and then they're showing pictures, you know, not even any real artifacts of anything to try to counteract them, say, oh yeah, those guys or whatever. None of them talk about birthright, nothing. That's stateless people playing the ass.
I think what I realized too in all of this is, as long as they get you talking about anything else, anything else but what really needs to be talked about, that's what this is all about. They said, watch one of the DVDs. Everything is about the illusion about keeping distracted from exactly what is going on.
And don't get it
That's
twisted.
that's
I
the
mean,
sorcery.
I'll go to a game and watch some guys dunk on some guys.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
not
mean,
no, you know what I mean.
I mean,
But what's up here?
yeah.
You know what I mean? What's really on your dial plate? You know what I mean? It's supposed to be high noon every day, all day. Just because it's time we're in. Things are accelerating. It's April right now. We just had New Year's like last month. Like it's April, and they know so much, but only few like are willing to do what's supposed to get done. Few. Talk about blaming the victims. Outrage is growing over a Kentucky judge who let a home invader who robbed a family at gunpoint off with probation after openly criticizing the victims for letting their child be afraid of black men because of the crime. Judge Olu Stevens of Jefferson Circuit Court appeared even more offended by the victims' impact statements offered by the family who was robbed than he was by the fact that a crime had been committed at all. Now a movement is afoot to have the judge removed from office. I'm a circuit court, so this is not. This is nothing, right? They'll move from office, you know what I mean? And then, he steps down and there are cameras and he's walking down the stairs like, oh yeah, sorry, this happened, whatever, when, he already got his little check or whatever like that. You know what I mean? He's playing the game, you know? According to the Louisville Courier-Journal, Jordan and Tommy Gray were held at gunpoint with their then 3-year-old daughter during a March 31st, 2013 home invasion by two black men, one of whom was being sentenced for a crime in February. Gregory Wallace, 27, had pleaded to the robbery, but Stevens declined to send him to prison, a decision he announced after a lengthy attack on the family whose home was robbed. The other home invader, who had a prior record, had already been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The judge was deeply offended at the portion of the Jordan Gray's victim impact statement where she described the effect of the night of terror had on her daughter. This incident was the most impact has had the most impact on my daughter, Jordan Gray wrote. She is in constant she is in constant fear of black men when when we are running errands. If we come across a black man, she holds me tight and begs me to leave. If she is playing in a room and I walk into another, she freaks out. It has affected her friendships at school and our relationship with African American friends. That statement, one that the victim apparently volunteered in good faith, is seemingly meant to show dismay at the corrosive effect of violent crime. Now it eats at the basic fabric of society, beginning with even its youngest members. So this guy got hype and said, yo, I'm not using that position that I have to have you criminalize some people who are already criminal. Now you double denationalizing people. That's already a criminal. We got him on camera and all that stuff like that. You know what I mean? We already did investigative CSI or whatever like that. These guys are guilty. They're going in. We have good faith stuff you want to say when we already got these guys. You trying to run some game when I, as the quote unquote circuit court judge, has been locking these guys up for the past 30 years or whatever, and I know this is a revolving door. And anybody who comes in here, even if I give them a break, they're coming back in here. Because that's just what that's about. That's their fiat. That's how they get their fiat. They got their drug dealer guys who they arrest every week, every second week, every fifth week or whatever like that. His little minions, you know what I mean? He's the agent that's gonna tell them where everybody is, and they go bust people, and then that's how they have a job. And the more bust they do, the more work, more officers, more. But Future Shop closed down. What's the next one there? Like closed down. Like not yeah, we gotta relocate, you know what I mean? Whatever. Closed down. Right? Implosion waiting to happen. Implosion just waiting to happen. And are you gonna have a birthright when this thing implodes? Did you declare who you are? Because when this thing implodes, anywhere you are is where you are. And it'll be national, because like you said, all these people are gonna go home. Because remember, the only way is for us on every single level amalgamate everybody, because either the Asiatic, so that's our blood. If it's European, you better bring them in, put them on leash, whatever it is that you got to do, because they're not going nowhere. We already told you that Moors are waking up over there. Moors are waking up in Europe right now. We're getting calls from Europe about from Moors. Not a Moor, two Moors, Moors out there. Hey, bro, with the Moors. Talk about birthrights out there. So they don't have anywhere to go. That's why there's a constitution. That's why Noble Drew said enforce it. Because that's what you're going to be using to make sure that everybody around here stays in order or whatever, you know, while things get assisted from our brothers in the East, who Noble Drew said, one of your brothers in the East, you be yourself, Morris. You don't worry about you need tractors and stuff like that. You see all these so-called CIA terrorist people going and destroying all these artifacts all over the world under the guise of some, Islamic State, whatever. What do you think they're destroying all this stuff for? Time's over. Moors are back. You don't need a statue to show beards, coily hair beards, and locks, and fezzes in stone. They're breaking up, getting rid of. Why? Because Moors are back. Don't forget, it's CIA who's doing that. That's not some Islamic people. That's CIA, FBI, U.S operatives.
Criminals.
Of course, get rid of the evidence. Better get rid of the evidence. Because you know what Moors do with evidence. And we don't have to, sue in no court. Then we have word of mouth and telephone and internet and whatever else. Because like I said, Moors in Europe, watching class. And recognizing that they have a birthright over there. Not that, oh yeah, Kudrow said something about whatever. How do we apply American Constitution to over here? Because, we were studying your thing, but you're over there. And what do you mean? They study themselves. You go down there and say, hey, what's that statue in there? I never really seen a statue before or whatever like that. Big domes all over the place or whatever. All these domes are all over the place. Just because somebody just wanted to build domes? And who are those people that build the domes? And if you don't see yourself, you're not looking at your history. You're looking at some fabrication, so, already omitted. Because again, we're talking about people who don't have anywhere. to go. And the only thing that they can do is amalgamate to survive now. Because they're not going anywhere. So instead of them doing some sovereign citizen, you know what I mean? Whatever, trying to get off when you have no status, you're stateless. You better ipso jure Moor subject and show allegiance to the Moors. Because don't think that, you know, they know what they're getting. They're not gonna tell you, the individual who's on the other end of the stuff, trying to get some information about discharge debts and they're not discharging no debts. Those guys are on the run and stuff like that. They're posse comitatus. That's not some sovereign citizen guys. Like those are the Billy the Kids and those guys. You know what I mean? Right? Our own. Again, they know. They know. But only you're gonna tell. Sheriff responds to Sharpton's call for a nationalized police force.
Hmm.
Al!
CIA.
Good old CIA operatives, yo. This is like a James Bond movie or something like that. Good old CIA operatives. Always there with their little piece. Always got a little thing, you know? Got their show now, so you know what I mean? Spokesman now. Spokesman. Got his show.
Well, I guess they figure he's been in the field long enough, right? He's sort of he's been able to pull the wool over enough people.
Pull him in. Yeah,
Right?
get him out the field.
Get him out the
into
field
the
now,
office.
right?
Yeah. Right.
That's really the truth, though, right? He's been in the field, right?
Played his part. So Sharpton's calling for a nationalized police force.
Hmm.
Good choice of words there, Sharpton, if you could see this.
Mm-hmm.
Good choice of words. Nationalize the police force.
Hmm.
Why nationalize the police force, Al Sharpton? How about some people, you know, call up, they ask about that stuff, black guys.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Negro, black, colored, fight for civil rights, go march for Trayvon Martin, wear a hood over your head, drink iced tea and all that type of crap, right? If you do all that stuff, go ask Sharpton, since that's your boy, because, you know, if he's your spokesman, well, no, I don't, because, you know, he helped kill, what do you mean? You're just marching out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're down with the stuff. You're not part of that if you're out there marching. So you're down with the fraud. CIA on top of that. Same people that they said, oh yeah, destroyed our black whatever stuff. All your black stuff got destroyed by CIA people, and now you're going behind CIA marching all over the place. Like idiots. Ask him why he said nationalize. You know? And for Moors, just so Moors, because remember, all these guys are in the club, they got fez in their closet. Right? So they already know what's up. They already know that their ancestors got some stuff for them when they get to the next level.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're gonna get when they get to the next level.
Yeah.
They thought their illusion of, you know, the guy in the ground with the pitchfork is gonna get me if I do bad stuff or whatever like that. You think that's what it is? Watch what's coming for them people. All these so-called agents right now, they're begging for help. But they can't just come up and say, hey, Moors. Okay, what do you guys need us to do or whatever?
Yeah.
Because this thing's about to crash or whatever like that. You know, Martin already told you, you know, we led the people into a burning house or whatever, right? We're feeling guilty People are really dying right now. We didn't really mean for people to die for us to get our little yellow envelope.
Yeah.
We just figured, we'll
Yeah.
stop our people from knowing their self or living or whatever. Nothing, no big
And
deal.
they seal their fate with that.
And seal their fate that this guy is talking about nationalizing stuff. Why are you talking about nationalizing stuff if you're telling people civil rights?
Yeah.
How are you going to tell people civil rights? But then over here you're going to say nationalize police force. How about nationalize the people that you have marching all over the place?
They're done. They're done, eh? They're done.
They are begging. But, people believe them for so long that if they don't say it, these people's fate's sealed now. Not just them.
Yeah.
And these people want to be Negro, black, colored people. Don't even know that right now that is now a black hole engulfing anything that's negative. Anything. Because time's up. Like time's like we're walking on rubble, Moors. Walking on rubble, right? Noble Drew Ali taught the Negroid man and woman to be proud of their African descent and to trade in their culture of America for the culture of the Moors. He referred to Negroes as Moors, quote unquote, because of his belief that the slaves in America were taken from Morocco in northwest Africa. For this reason, he called his congregation Moorish American. This is where he got the name Moorish. So I don't know where this came from because the poster, this guy who posted that thing that I just read, never said what the source was. And this crap people are throwing out there trying to get people to think that, the Moors are on some old whatever that doesn't mean nothing, you know. But we have to show these people that a prophet came and brought them their salvation that they are marching, picketing, debating, whatever for. And they do not want to acknowledge him. Right? Yeah. They do not want to acknowledge Noble Drew Ali. Even when they're gonna put things out to make Noble Drew Ali look like a fraud or whatever. Mm-hmm. When in reality, if people did their research, because, when we say Noble Drew Ali, right? Mm-hmm. The Moore Science Temple of America is connected to that. Yeah. Right? Or to him. Okay? So, when I say Grand Sheik Kudro Arwell, I wasn't, oh yeah, that guy made that guy Grand Sheik. I had to be a member of this. I got to be a member of this to say that we are this. Mm-hmm. I can't be a non-member and claim to be a Grand Sheik of something. Mm-hmm. So being a member, not being a Grand Sheik, being a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Me personally, I think that, if I see contradiction in the teachings from people who aren't members, mm-hmm. they have to be challenged. 100%. Because that's what's causing the confusion.
Well, you see these are COINTELPRO operatives or
and once
or people who are putting out disinformation, right?
And once we recognize that people are agent provocateurs and traitors to their nation. They have to be avoided.
Yeah.
There's no, oh, that was yesterday. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
When somebody sells a nation out,
Yeah.
and then not only sell out a nation, but also sell out an individual of that nation that came to people who didn't know that they were part of that nation, that they were part of it.
Mm-hmm. You're saying that his crime is that much greater.
So much greater,
Well,
right? So, one thing for sure we want to address is because of Noble Drew belief,
mm-hmm.
right? Noble Drew belief
Mm-hmm.
in the culture of the Moors
Mm-hmm.
is why, he came or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple of America, chapter 7, verse 29. Actually, verse 27. Salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of man to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is truth. And faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. Fruition is last, and this is man himself the truth. Belief is lost in faith, and in fruition, faith is lost. And man is saved when he has reached deific life, when he and Allah are one. Salvation is a ladder with 3 steps. When you get to fruition,
Mm-hmm.
you've reached salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And that's it. So now that you're saved, what are you going to do? Tell other people how to get saved. Because they were in belief, which is lost in faith.
The first step is belief.
The first step is belief. But belief is lost in faith.
Oh, yeah.
Belief isn't over here and then faith is the next stage.
You're saying that they're connected.
They're connected. And this is what makes being so lost so hard for them to get out. Because they're in twice. They're in faith and then they're in belief. So when we hear and see people BS about they know about what this is, they don't even have a nationality. They're stateless. Talk about they know something about Moors and Noble Drew Ali and whatever like that. And you're stateless. That you have no say, no talk. We never hear anything that you're saying or whatever. Because we have superior knowledge. We don't talk like that. We don't present it like that. But people who consider themselves Moors have superior knowledge than people say that that's their scholar from whatever they taught them everything we studied on them for 30 years. Because those guys know what's up, but they're not telling the pawns. You don't want pawns stay pawns. You don't want pawn to grow up to be no king or queen. So Noble Drew Ali didn't deal with belief. If he dealt with belief, then there would be Moors that go to court, beat stuff, have their own plates and all that, have their own jurisdiction where they just live. Don't worry about pay this, pay that. They just live like everybody else is living. Why? Because they have a nationality. You don't get that out of belief. You get that out of knowing. And knowing is fruition. Because to say that you know, that means automatically you applied something. You're not going to say that you know. Like, I say that I know, right? Like, I say that I know. And I can show that I know. Because there's a hard something to show you that I know. There's a manifest. You can say, I'm a magician, and then you can't do the flowers. No, no. Those are the
One's coming out?
yeah.
Great. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
right when you come to class.
That's right. See Moors?
Right? So it's all about knowing. Once the Moors know, right? Once the Moors know that the vortex is open,
Right.
stuff is just gonna we'll be able to contain it. Right? Once again. Okay? Right? Page 256.
All right.
Right? Okay. The Moor Science Temple used the quote Jeremiah 48:42 to trace their descendancy to the Moabites from the marriage of Ruth the Moabitess to Boaz, Ruth 4:13, the great grandfather of David. The story of Ruth happened before the Moabites were destroyed, so they did not exist today. The Moor Science Temple constantly quotes from the ancient Masonic doctrine. They claim that Masonry goes back to the building of Solomon's temple. However, they have no proof. They didn't call themselves ancient until a certain period of time. They didn't make they didn't take on the term Mason or Masonic until Europe. They adopted the term Freemasonry during a London conference under the presidency of James Anderson, who was a Jewish Christian. Now, once again, people want to say that they're experts on more stuff, Noble Drew Ali and all that stuff like that, but they don't even have Noble Drew Ali stuff to use as a reference. They're gonna say Moors. Oh yeah, Moors use the Bible as a reference. Not because you saw rules in the Bible means that that's where Noble Drew Ali got his information. Especially if we know that he didn't just get information from here. Being Aboriginal and Indigenous naturally by birth. He got added on information on top of the information from here, where he's gonna go to the ground, dig down, and pull up something and say, "Oh, this is whoever's stuff," and then they're gonna go check some museum or whatever like that and see, "Oh yeah, well, how do you know about that? This is the place where you're gonna get some ancient artifacts of over here." If he's not part of people who are over here, so if he's an expert on Aboriginal and Indigenous because he's Aboriginal and Indigenous, then why not just use him as a reference if you're going to talk Aboriginal and Indigenous? Because, I mean, after 1913 even, is when you have all these so-called sellout chiefs in the Indian stuff. Because, they might have had wars or whatever like that, but when it came down to, foreigners or whatever, invading their jurisdiction, that, because of treaties, that, you see certain things going on in the mainland that's supposed to be only on the seaboard, you have to start questioning things.
Yeah.
There must be some type of invasions or something going on if these guys are this far inland. Yeah. And nobody blew the bugle, nothing like that. Yeah. Nobody sent the hawk to say, yo, with the letter.
The carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon, whatever. So all these individuals that play this game, like Noble Drawley, you know what he's talking about and all that. Now, one thing we'll put out there, before we even do that, just because, people are in the Bibles and all this type of stuff. So we know that Bible is Christianity. Right? At least that. Now, Noble Drawley was clear to the Mormons because he didn't speak, so you're not getting what he's talking about. He didn't speak, 50-page, 500-page PowerPoint presentation to get his point across. Real simple, common sense. Right? Chapter 46, the beginning of Christianity. The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Isa of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. Isa himself was a true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa, seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Rome crucified him according to their law. Then Europe had peace for a long time, until Muhammad I came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of Isa of Nazareth. The holy teachings of Isa was to the common people to redeem them from under the great pressure of the hands of the unjust, that the rulers and the rich would not oppress the poor, also that the lion and the lamb may lay down together, and neither will be harmed when morning came. Check the kettle. Yeah. These teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither by the rich, because they loved the principles of the Ten Commandments. Through the Ten Commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. The lamb is the poor people, the lion is the rulers and the rich. And through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one and equal to seek their own destiny, and to worship under their own vine and fig tree, after the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. All nations of the earth in these modern days are seeking peace, but there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught universally to all nations in all lands. Okay? So that's the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by Noble Drawley, letting you know that Christianity was founded in Rome, and you know, Asiatics have nothing to do with that. What we're supposed to be moving toward is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then that's supposed to be echoed to all the nations out here that this is what's up right now. I don't care what you guys been down with. What you're gonna be down with now is these principles. Everybody. That that's what the bar is. If you're below that bar, go against the wall, because you're disservice to humanity. And that's the position that Europeans are taking right now, with so-called people want to claim that they're whatever. They'll get a guy to pretend to be a guy to shoot a guy, say, "Oh, yeah, whew, sorry, I thought it was my taser, and I shot you dead." They're taking care of, what they got to do. So then we go to, again, don't bring up Bibles and stuff like that when you hear certain things, because that's, your only reference point, right? And we already know that, 256, this is a Dr. Malachi Z. York book, you know what I mean? It's not, you know what I'm saying? Not no secret like that, for 2 days, you know what I mean? My only comment, show the cover.
Right.
What book you talking about? You ain't showing pages.
This is
Show,
another,
just
another,
one of those, people just post stuff.
I see.
Try,
The Facebook's right
make
there?
Moors, yeah, yeah. Try and make Moors look like, we're talking about, right? But really, our agent provocateurs
Yeah. Well, I think
set,
that,
no different than create a jurisdiction to, get people to destroy stuff and do things that, common sense people wouldn't do. Like, why you destroy artifacts? Oh, civilized thinking. You destroy artifacts that you can use to teach somebody else.
I mean, none of that even makes sense when you think about it, right? They're out doing terrorist stuff, so why would that even be on their radar?
What the hell are you destroying stuff? What's that have to do with your activities of pushing your Islamic
That's
whatever?
right. That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, you're not about,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's
it
really
really,
about destroying Islam. Like,
it exposes who they are.
crazy. Right? So this thing of, quoting Jeremiah and Ruth saying Moors got their stuff from there or whatever, right? BS, right? That's why we have a prophet. 101 questionnaire. Question 27. Will you give in brief the line genealogy through which Jesus came? Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth? To save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time. 29. How long has that been? About 2,000 years ago. 30. What is the nationality of Ruth? Ruth was a Moabitess. 31. What is the modern name for Moabites? Moroccans. 32. Where is the Moroccan Empire? Northwest Amexem. 33. What is the modern name of Amexem? Africa. Right? The modern name of Amexem is Africa. And this is Noble Dwali in 1913. So you can't be African. You can't be African American. Because America is a corruption. So you definitely can't be those both titles.
Well, it's one and the same.
Right? Because it's one and the same. Just like Moorish American is one and the same. From a political perspective, Moorish American. Because you're lining yourself up with the pattern of society or societies.
Well, I would think that you're putting yourself into somewhat what you'd call clipped jurisdictions, which then allow them to play around with you, right? In terms of calling yourself African American.
Right.
Anything that does not is not connotatively connected to you takes you outside of you.
Right. And keep in mind with regard to and with regard to the Moorish Science Temple constantly quotes from the ancient Masonic doctrine and says that they're relatives or whatever like that. Don't confuse foreigner Freemasonry with ancient order of, you know what I mean? Real science that they have in the 99 degree lodges and them places there. Forget this 33 crap. The real stuff that they have, that Pope has in those people. Where are these people that they show you, those guys are Masons, got a ring and all that stuff? Those guys,
Those are just the henchmen.
That's just, they're not the real one. So the true name, true name of Africa is a Mexican. And if the true name of Africa is a Mexim, that means Africans are Moors.
Right.
Because a Mexim ties to Moroccans,
Right.
who are the
True error.
heirs and the rulers of the present Moroccan Empire. And, you know, spans over here,
Well, remember, I think here was called Africa.
right?
Maxim.
So, which is the everything as one, the whole. So don't let people use, because remember, he's going to use, Dr. York book or whatever. But we always got to put it on the record. Okay, here's the Dr. York Holy Quran, Circle 7 of the Modern Science Temple of America. Right, all the other books that he put out were soft cover. This is hardcover. Just so you know, this is the honor and respect that Malachi Malachi York L. Doc, whatever you want to call him, Rabbi Ranu Abatapata, or whatever, all his names, 500 million names that he had, or whatever like that.
Jail now, right?
Yeah, the only book, by another author that he put out is this. All other books were written by him. Only book, and he did a hardcover, and all his books are softcover.
Right.
So just know that everybody knows. And it's people who infiltrated,
Yeah.
once again, infiltrate, and now have you, and remember, like we said in the beginning, right? It's not a diss or nothing like that, but real recognize real. Dr. York took checks. Don't get it twisted. And just like everybody else, begging for assistance from the Moors in some way, shape, or form. At his trial, he wasn't wearing that black fez with the ankh on it crap that these guys are pushing, talking about their Nuwapians. He was wearing the blazing red fez that Noble Drew Ali told Moors that that's your national headwear. He's not wearing the club hat. He's not wearing the lodge get up.
Yeah.
He was dressed like a Moorish American, got a suit on, tie, whatever like that, you know what I mean? Like, yo.
You have to bust up the
Then
real
people are
one,
dissing, you know what I mean? You have to bust the real one out.
Yeah.
You're gonna fake.
Couldn't fake at that point.
At that point, you're gonna fake.
His life was on the line.
I mean, you're lucky you only got 125.
Yeah.
You're lucky. You got 25 in there still. You're lucky.
Exactly.
Now they're playing with him, giving him
Yeah,
signals.
that's
You know what I
right.
mean? Right? Giving him signals. And it's not, I'm not saying, it's not no this, but Moors know what's up. We have superior
I
knowledge.
think
I'm
now, 'cause
sorry, I'm
I
not,
don't know. I don't know.
it's not out of arrogance, but it's so people know, like, do you know who, like, Sister Rosmariah Bay is? Like, you know who that is? On a outside of this realm level?
Right.
Anita, you know who that is? Fontes, Taj, all these people. Denim L, you know who that is on
Yeah.
outside?
You're talking about on a cosmic level, yeah.
People playing around what they got. They don't know what they got. Going to listen to these clowns talk about stuff
Well,
when
you wonder too. It just came to me now, and I'm sure I feel like it sort of connects. Is that what happens is, see, remember, the European was the Grand Protector,
Yep.
right? But he has two faces to him too.
Yeah.
The one face which is trying to destroy us,
Yep.
be wardship status to us.
Mhm.
But then the other side, that remember I told you about the truth and the falsehood, and the lower and the higher, they also have to be the law, right? So really, they're giving Malachi York exactly what he deserves for what he did, right?
Yes.
And that's on a karmic level.
On a karmic
You
level.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they have you have one of your own. It's like Al Sharpton. You don't think he's going to be on the rack
Right, right.
when it finally comes to it, right? But Al has aligned himself on their side,
Yeah.
right? So he's getting a pass right now because he's still doing their work actively. I think what it shows is that Malachi was sort of on our side,
Yeah.
but still playing with
Yeah,
them.
playing with them. Yeah.
So what happened was when he got caught, his punishment was commensurate with the value of the crime.
Yeah, because remember, it's all coming down from when he was doing the whole thing with the land,
That's right.
right? That he didn't get the land allodially.
Right. See, I
He
don't.
played their stuff
Right. So that's what
to
you're
get to
saying.
get jurisdiction.
Oh, so you're saying he
Because
stepped into their
stepped
stuff.
into their stuff because he had lawyers and real estate people
Oh
and stuff like
no.
that who were Negro black colored
So basically
that
what
were
happened.
part of his club
So
or
basically what
whatever.
happened was he gave them power of attorney,
They had power of attorney
which then put
more
him,
than whoever he hired as their lawyer.
which then put him into their jurisdiction.
That's
And
why they
and
could
then
have
when
went
and
and
then when he stepped
bulldozed
and then when he
everything.
stepped back out, it's like sort of the same thing with Martin Luther, right? So when you step in
Right.
and sign that contract with them,
You should have reserved your rights.
well, but not only that,
Because then he would be able to stand.
yeah, but the instant that you've done that and haven't reserved your rights,
Yeah.
you then
Now
are
now
gonna
now you're yeah. Now you're
you're
in the
their
game.
food,
Yep.
you're food for
You're
them.
food for them.
Because also
Yep.
probably what happened is because he's really broken one of their
Yeah.
covenants,
One of their contracts or whatever.
contracts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
now, it's a death, it's a
Right.
death contract, but they're not going to kill him. They're
Right.
just going to kill him
Yeah.
physically
Physically.
by putting him in jail.
Right. Which would make room because remember if he went and he represented as Moorish American,
Right,
right? Now let's flip it the other way. What if he bust those charges up?
right,
What if everything went opposite?
right, right,
Bust the charges up and everything.
right.
What would people's mentality be now of
Of what was going on?
what was going on,
Of course, they couldn't
right?
do that. Yeah, yeah, it would be all over. Because what it would show also is the whole
Walking on rubble, bro.
it would
Walking
expose
on
it would
rubble.
expose the whole fraud at that point,
Yeah,
right? Because he would then have shown the fraud on their side
right.
and then pulled out the truth on our side, which they couldn't have, right?
Even his own fraud
Right. That's what I'm saying.
of Nuwapians
Right.
when he's Moorish American.
Right.
Only people wear the red fez is Moorish American. That's specific.
Right.
I mean, and nobody's
Yeah, playing with that.
no. I mean, maybe if you go to Morocco or something, you might find a guy who wears his fez every day or whatever.
Yeah.
But out here,
Yeah.
more,
What happened?
more. These people really don't know what's coming. The war on Black America, Glenn Ford, Frederick Douglass, quote, "Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the old world, travel through South America, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without rival." Frederick Douglass. You know, people want to say, they're directly connected to their family and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Get some accolades so you could sell tickets, for your next whatever. When, if these are Frederick Douglass words, he's selling out birthrights. Because America never did anything to anybody around here. What revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy could a continent exercise? Two continents, right? You America, the barbarity of America, selling out the birthright, for some U.S. Openly, speeches, but nah, chase behind those people and deny Noble Drew Ali and everything that he brought. When he brought what it is that all these guys are portraying that they got it when they don't have it. It's really about nationality and birthright. It's really about nationality and birthright. The United States produced a bumper crop of what Billie Holiday would call strange fruit in March. At least 111 bodies, the majority of them unarmed men of color, men of fraud, shot down by police in the blood-fertilized streets of American cities. It's not American cities. It's U.S. corporate jurisdiction. If you're going to say city, you're going to say American cities. That's a fraud. No such thing as American cities because cities are corporate and America is not corporate. America's two continents and islands and isthmus. So there's no cities of America. If one just counts the unarmed victims, that's a rate of about 2 extrajudicial executions per day, roughly twice, one every 28 hours. Cited by Malcolm X Grassroots Network 2012 report, Operation Ghetto Storm. So you have grassroots networks, wherever the hell that is, selling out the birthright. Because, you know, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. I mean, everybody knows he took the Hajj. He's adopted a new name. So he's still calling him the slave name.
Yeah.
Selling out the birthright. Now they got the report of the whatever, so you know, it must be the qualified black guys. Fraud. Chasing behind people's crap. Yet in the same month, President Obama declared Venezuela a threat to the national security of the United States.
I don't even pull that up.
Oh no, oh that one no. You have to bring that one up. You have to bring that one up. Right after this, you have to bring that one up.
And what month is this?
This is April 9th.
This is this month.
Yeah.
All right. And that report that happened earlier was
No, the report was from 2012.
Oh, I see.
But there in the next paragraph, this thing just talk about this one right here. Yet in the same month, President Obama declared Venezuela a threat to the national security of the United States, based largely on the death of 14 dissidents during a period of anti-government disturbances back in 2014. Many of the dead were pro-government activists killed by quote-unquote dissidents. By contrast, Philadelphia police have been shooting an average of one person a week for the last 8 years.
Well, if you read the last sentence, and I was talking with some more on Temple on Sunday, read the last sentence again. Because what you're saying is that he's declared Venezuela to be, what did he say? A threat to
national
security because he shot, 14 dissidents, right?
Yeah.
And he says that those dissidents, again, were pro-government,
Yeah.
right? So what is pro? So why would he be shooting pro-government, right?
Right.
So go on again with the pro-government. Then he says the pro.
Many of the dead were pro-government activists killed by dissidents.
So, but then he's reversed. He's
Yeah.
reversed it again.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is what they do is they put out this, and what I call it cognitive dissonance. What happens is in your mind, you're now being fed two different. Right? Am I not
you
right?
You have to pick a side.
Well, but
yeah.
no. What happens is what I find is that you then become confused, and then they put out their last point, and that point is what sticks with
Right.
you.
Yeah.
That's how I've sensed what happens, right? And it's part of their terrorist techniques where they basically keep you up for days on end. They sleep deprivation, all that kind of stuff, and then they program you,
Right.
right? But am I right with that?
I would think so.
They said
Yeah.
that dissidents were the ones that he killed,
Mhm.
and the dissidents were what? Pro-government, and those pro-government people were killed by dissidents.
Yeah.
So
No, the pro-government. I think the pro-government activists were the ones killed by the
by
dissidents.
the dissidents?
Yeah.
Oh,
But still, I mean, why, to kill pro-government activists? And what side of the pro-government are,
and whose government?
yeah, which government you
Right.
in, right? But again, you once you get in bed with Rome,
Yeah, yeah.
it is what it is. Like, look at everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody who took a check,
Yeah.
whether it's low-level people who get grants and stuff like that, community grant to go do something and all that stuff, right? Then they end up corrupted, or, you know, higher level people that are contracting for, from a national perspective. I mean, doing engagements with, other nations that are legitimate, you know, and they're dealing with whoever they're dealing with from a we're legitimate perspective,
Well, that's all a fraud.
not being legitimate,
Yeah.
right?
But I think that when I was realizing that today too, that the whole thing that has fallen apart here, and I think Taj quotes it too, is that we keep thinking that the people that are calling themselves government
Are that
are that.
right?
And that is the biggest spell that they've been pulling on all of us.
And
Right.
the majority of that spell is coming from this. What I'm saying, that it's our own.
Well,
That
100%.
because they're keeping this fraud alive by talking about America did something when
That's
they
right.
know that it's U.S.
That's right.
Because they're specifically saying that U.S. Justice Department,
But wait a
the
minute,
United
but-
States President.
Well, that's right.
You
But
know
that's
what I
where
mean?
I'm saying that they're continuing
Right.
to use the double talk
Yeah.
with the wording too, right? To pull you in and out of
Right.
the jurisdictions, right?
Yeah.
Connecting you to the land and then to the corporation, right?
Then letting the corporation suck you in.
Right.
Yeah. One person a week for the last 8 years. The overwhelming majority of them black and brown, according to a new U.S. Justice Department report. So once again, the guys who could do the report, the guys, the experts of the reporting of the black whatever, which is, U.S. democracy, bankrupt, insolvent,
who don't have any positions in
Right.
government at all. So basically, then you have to see these people as being fraud.
But how are they staying alive? Because Negro, black, colored people
Keep
are the ones.
yeah. And
That's what they're taking care of. Their stock.
yeah.
And
And all-
stock's talking about, doesn't matter what you call yourself, I'm black or whatever. Oh, you just admitted that you're property.
Yeah. And the answer to this, like we know, is to nationalize.
Al Sharpton wants to nationalize the police force or whatever.
He wants to nationalize them.
You know what I mean?
Keep the black people.
Keep the black people black,
and
but nationalize
nationalize
this corporate government stuff. Using
He got a
his
big-
birthright.
Yeah, right. He got a big fat check for that.
Oh, boy.
Well,
Whoa.
yeah, a new rules on that one, eh?
You're gonna get a new show or something.
That article again, that just the top sheet.
But yeah, the thing with the Venezuela.
So they said in the Summit of the Americas, because I was watching yet again, keeping my eye on the news that the prophet told you to do. They were showing Stephen Harper was heading off to the Summit of the Americas, which I found very interesting. Because why would Canada have anything to do with going to the Summit of the Americas, right? Because Canada is not America. Right?
Yeah. I mean, according to them,
According to
they're
them, right?
international. Just
Right.
ask all the Moors who try to call Canaanland
Right.
or text, and then they can't because their phone company has over here
Right, as being
international.
right?
But they're going to some of the
Right.
Americas.
So going to some of the Americas supposedly to meet with Cuba, who basically now has come back into the fold with America. But what made me feel very odd about that is, from what I've understood, is Canada has no problem with Cuba. Because all the time so-called Canadians are going to Cuba, and we're
Well,
doing
but
business with Cuba.
wherever the dog goes, the tail has to go.
Well, for sure. But what I'm saying though is this is where once you start doing the knowledge, you start to realize something's up because Canada supposedly has never had a problem with Cuba, right?
What's the issue?
Right? But then they made reference to the fact that what was the big deal there was that America and Cuba were now reacquainting themselves together again after 50 years of sort of animosity. Well, I then on the weekend decided to follow up to see what was
Yeah.
happening at the Summit of the Americas. And one of the articles or one of the web things which you can Google, which obviously you have to read between the lines because CNN was involved, but still you wonder if they're involved and this is what they're talking about, what really happened, right? So they say that basically the article says triangle of tension or triangle of tensions, and it talks about how Obama and Cuba's meeting was overshadowed by the Venezuelans, again, assertions that basically America is a terrorist, U.S. is a terrorist organization, which he has problems with,
Right.
and has basically refused to allow George Bush, former Vice President Dick Cheney, and a few other senators into the country.
Right.
That was countered by Obama saying that Venezuela has been involved in some human rights uh, issues, which I found very, very interesting because you realize that so-called U.S. is that's like the pot calling the kettle black,
Yeah, yeah.
right, in that point. But so what happened was then, I guess obviously the war was going on there, and what happened was then Venezuela has given U.S. or the U.S. embassies 15 days to get rid of, because basically in the U.S. embassies in America, they have 100 so-called employees or workers there.
Yeah.
Well, the Venezuelan embassy in America only has 17. So obviously, the president of Venezuela said, all right,
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
play this game?
Yeah.
I'm kicking out all of your agents.
Right.
So you have 15 days to get rid of all of your agents to match the amount of agents we have in your country.
Right.
And so that's where it's been left at. But obviously, there's a lot more that is going on there. But we're just catching. I mean, that's from
Yeah.
CNN.
And what's wrong with these damn Negro, black, colored, whatever revolutionary people?
Right.
Right? Everybody's standing up to this U.S. beast.
Right.
Everybody's fed up. Like, yo,
Yeah.
forget these guys in their jurisdiction, embassies, or whatever. You guys get out of here.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Here in Africa, they tore down some Cecil Rhodes.
Really?
Some university tore down some Cecil Rhodes statue or
All
some
right.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Right?
That's all right.
Everybody's like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, hold on a second. Sir Master's dead? You mean nobody's in the house? How long has nobody been
Well,
in
you
the
know what's
house?
interesting to me? What I think I realized too with this thing, Rome had fallen a long time ago,
Walking on rubble.
and what they did was they stepped into our house and started to run things with
From there.
from there.
Yeah.
With,
Yeah.
with that guys on,
Yeah.
which confused us for another couple hundred years. But what I think, obviously, as we know, is very interesting is that we've known this, but we have continued to be asleep to this.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The facts is there. Right? April 7, 2015. U.S. court rejects Argentina's contempt appeal in debt fight. Remember,
Sorry, say that again?
Argentina, South America too,
Right.
right? So, you know, there, go, and this is April 7th, so everything's happening at the same time, right? Where these individuals who have been running a fraud for so long
Right.
are now trying to side with the people who they made enemies, saying they're communists and whatever like that,
Right.
saying that they're this and they're that, and they're against this and they're against that. Oh yeah, embargo those people, whatever. They're not going to all these people that they, did bad deals with and whatever like that,
Mm-hmm.
to now accept them
Right.
because nobody else in the world is accepting them right now.
Yeah. So basically, the last little embers,
to,
they're trying to hopefully align themselves with someone
they are hanging on by a nail right now.
because the real bankruptcy is the fact that the international community now is refusing to play games with them.
Exactly. And it's not a thing about bring them to the international court and bring them to this court and that court. Right? They're a corpse. Right? They're a corpse.
Mm-hmm.
It's already done for that. Leave it, let it die. You gotta go feeding, you know, to keep the stuff alive. You know what I mean? Put it like, look at it like, you know, teachings of Dr. York. Animals that are exotic, right? When you have animals that are exotic, the reason why they keep those animals around is because of their exotic value.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to interrupt to sort of go back to that Venezuela thing. The reason why this whole argument started was because the president, and I realized I forgot the most important part. The reason why was the president of Venezuela was mad at the U.S. for what he claimed was back in 2014
Yeah,
their attempt at trying to overthrow the
the
government.
government.
And that's where this all started from. When they finally met up, he's like, "You bunch of punks!
Yeah.
You were trying to
Oh
overthrow me
yeah, and
back
that's when
then."
when he put the ad in the paper and all
Right,
that
right,
stuff in the New York
right,
Post.
right, right. So
Right.
that's where this all was
Yeah,
stemming from, which was the fact that he was calling them out for what they were trying to do. Now, of course, what we've known now in hindsight is America is always trying to go into oil-rich countries
yeah.
because Venezuela now. The reason why Venezuela is back on the front burner is they've got oil again,
Right.
and now
Through them nationalizing
and
over
through
there.
that, and through them
Right. Through them
nationalized, they
nationalizing their
kicked out the
right.
whole U.S.
Right.
corporation. So they tried to overthrow him. He was able to put that down. And when he finally caught up with them at the Summit of the Americas, he called them out.
Right.
And what we see on the backside is that ex-President George Bush, the same criminal, and and Cheney are back in Venezuela, or
Yeah.
trying to get back into Venezuela to try and do their
Because they're
trying
those
to
are
do
the
their
tycoons, the oil
trying to
tycoons.
do their stuff
Yeah.
again, right? So, anyways, go back.
Yeah.
I just wanted to sum that up because that's I now realize why it was all because you can imagine, right? It's like someone came to your house about a year ago, did some shit. You haven't
Right.
been able to
You
catch up
can't
with
catch
them.
it. Now
And
you finally see him.
finally catch up with them at the next party, and you're now
Like there he is. Oh, there he is.
you know what I mean? And then you still have your buddies. Their buddies are still trying to get back into your backyard to mess with your stuff. Anyways, what were you talking about with the exotic animals?
Um, Dr. York was saying how with with animals that are exotic, they're supposed to be extinct,
Right.
right? So because they're exotic, they keep them alive because they're worth something.
Right.
But what that's doing is you have an animal that's a living, breathing entity that is supposed to be extinct, but it's still alive.
Mm.
So now its life has been continued through genetic manipulation or whatever, right? So now it's breathing this toxicity into the air because it's supposed to be not in existence anymore. This is the same thing as the U.S. fraud. That's extinct since 1929.
And what you're saying is that they've been keeping this. Basically, it's the same
By
sort of
feeding
thing.
off Negro, black, colored.
But it's a dead carcass that at this point it's rotted so much that it's now it's gone past the point
of recovery or bringing back to life or getting any nourishment
no, but
from
at this
it
point
or
it's starting to poison everything else.
right, and everything else is like, I'm not trying to be close to that.
Yeah.
Everybody else is
Well,
like, nah,
no,
anything,
anyone
any
who becomes close to that starts to become sick.
become sick or toxic or whatever, right? So U.S. court rejects Argentina's contempt appeal in debt fight. A U.S. court on Tuesday dismissed as premature Argentina's appeal of a federal judge's order finding the country in contempt for taking steps to evade his orders in a long-running dispute with hedge funds suing over defaulted debt. U.S. District Judge Thomas Graca last year ruled the South American country in contempt after he said it took illegal steps to sidestep his orders, barring it from making interest payments on restructured debt until it settled with the funds. The hedge funds, dubbed vultures by Argentina's leftist government, argued the court could not hear an appeal until Gracia sanctions Argentina, something that Manhattan yet judge has to do. The Second U.S. Court of Appeals in New York agreed. Argentina indicated it was prepared to take its case to the International Court if Grazer took further measures against Latin America's third biggest economy.
This guy's
So you can check that, right? But these guys are hanging on by a nail.
well, it's over right now. What I'm noticing, even with that article there, right? Check out what they talk about, how Argentina's leftist government.
Yeah.
Like, who's to describe that they're leftist
Yeah,
to who?
yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
see
who
what I
are they
mean?
left to?
Right? Like,
Yeah.
all of that stuff is all wordplay that once we don't disagree with, we, what is it? Not we acknowledge it, what is it when you don't agree with it? You become, what's it again?
Or you vote
No, no. When I don't disagree to something you're saying,
when you
it's
act when you
acquiesce. Yeah.
acquiesce, yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So Argentina's punking the district judge, like
And what does he have to do with them anyways?
you're right, but this one goes back to what you know Sabir was saying on his show earlier,
Right.
that a lot of the places that are states were countries at one time.
All right. Where?
So yeah, here in the Americas.
In the Americas.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So being that it's a country,
Mhm.
you know, it could deal with other
Countries.
countries,
Right.
because it's the nation states
Right. Right. Right.
on the small level that it is now, but amongst each other, they're countries.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Just like over here, everybody is gonna set up their jurisdiction,
Right.
right? And then the countries became the corporation.
Right. Right.
We had one question. We had put it out, for all the more haters and all the naysayers and whoever else, ask questions and stuff like that. We got one question. So obviously,
They must be outdoing someone else.
obviously, people are messed up out here. Um, Islam familia in Canaanland. Grand Sheik, I hear you say that all our property should be in the name of MSTA. My question is, if one nationalized and is not a member of MSTA, will you still be able to put your property under authority or protection of MSTA? So this is where you have to have at least a basic. Now, like we said from the beginning, anything to do with MSTA is for members of MSTA, right? The perspective of what the MSTA is, super broad, right? Like there's many facets of it, you know what I mean, to make it work, right? Um, one of the least used facets is what Grand Chief Nature was talking about on the weekend, that the duty of constitutional enforcement being the remedy. Instead of filing this and that, whatever, just use the Constitution, right? With when we talk about property, first of all, slaves can't own it. So if you're talking property, you better be national talking property.
And then to be national, you have to belong to.
To be national, you better belong to a nation or organized bodies of Moors that are tied to a nation,
Right.
because you can't be, just wandering,
Yeah.
right? If you're in a position where you're not, where there's a Moor Science Temple of America for you to affiliate yourself with, in order to, since we're dealing with property, put your property under that. The equivalent of that is understanding trust.
Right.
Because really that's what you're doing when you put it under the Moorish Science Temple of America. You're not transferring it or whatever. You're entrusting it to a religious body that has certain constitutional religious protections that could protect your property. That's what, that's
and
the,
that is only in conjunction with the fact that we're dealing with that right now because of what's been going on in the bankruptcy.
right,
Because
right.
technically,
Because
before all of this, back before 1913, you
owned whatever you had.
owned your own stuff, so you didn't
Owned
have
it. There was no go down to the whoever's office. There was no
title and deed office and all that kind of
real
stuff.
estate
Right.
agents
Right.
and stuff like that. You know what I mean? All these things were things that they created
Yeah.
in order so they can have jobs and whatever and
And-
look over here like,
and
doing something.
and also to defraud.
When it's a fraud that they're running.
It was the
really.
fraud to put out there to then cover up what was really going on.
Right. 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 So you want to learn about, if you're not somewhere where there's temple, right? You want to learn about trust. You want to learn how to create trust. You want to learn what trusts are, what a trust is, the different kinds of trust that they are. You know what I mean? And you're not going to do anything premature.
Yeah.
You are going to get to the stage of fruition before you exercise anything. This is warning for anybody out there to try stuff. Say, oh my gosh, the law dictionary said, push here. Oh, next time I go in there, I'm going to push there, and that's going to make everything. If you think that you're going to do that and something's going to happen,
Or that something bad may not happen.
twist it. Because this is serious business. It's serious business. And the way these guys are on panic mode right now,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that, it's a panic move when you grab your gun instead of your taser, kill a guy.
What was it? You or I was watching the last thing I saw, which was a week ago, is they had an officer somewhere in the U.S. pulled over someone. The man jumped out of his vehicle, was running away from the police officer, and off camera, someone else caught him on their camera.
Yeah.
He shot the man 3 times in the back.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah, that's a different one.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's an example of what's going on because ultimately man's running away.
Running away.
So you can't even say he's a threat to you. Right? He's running away and you shoot him in his
Away.
back. Right?
Away. Right.
It's on.
Oh yeah.
And really another of the things that remember we were talking, I think, about was the black being the new Chinese?
Yeah.
Was that on Sunday too? I think, was that,
I just.
or was that,
Yeah, I remember talking about that.
was
Yeah.
that on the Sunday though? Was that just 2 days ago?
No.
No, but I thought someone was talking about how they were talking about down in South Africa, that they were claiming that these people were the
Yeah, that
new.
was last week or whatever. That
All
was the
right.
week before. That was
What I realized though, I thought about this on a different perspective. The issue is they still need to try and find a slave pool.
Yeah.
Now, if all of us nationalize,
Yeah. They have no slave pool.
they have no slave pool.
Right.
So they've now got to start calling someone out.
Somebody else has to be the nigger.
Right.
Yeah.
So what the issue is because remember the prophet says that each and every nation has suffered
slavery
hardships
Yeah.
because of the fact that they
They
haven't
did not
followed
honor their foremothers and forefathers.
kind
Yep.
of have suffered slavery because of that.
Right.
I think China is that new is the new is that new
Yeah.
is that new body because they have technically been enslaving their people
Yeah.
to
So
that extent. That is what has brought China.
Yeah.
That is what has brought China to its mecca to its top now,
Right.
because China now owns U.S. Right? You've
Yeah.
heard that, right?
Right.
They bought up all, and that's because basically they've been enslaving all of their people.
Their own, yeah.
Right?
They mastered it on a different level.
Well, on a different level,
Yeah.
and been able to keep all of them sort of
In line,
line, right? And what's happened is, and that's why everything's being produced over there, because the same thing that you'd have to pay a man, let's say his $15, $20
Yeah.
a day, right? They're paying them a bowl of rice.
Yeah.
Right.
So for double the production. Yeah.
Double the production,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Double the production for a bowl of rice. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. Wow, but yeah. So, we could only do what we do. You know what I mean? Put it out there. Let people know what's up.
Well, I'll just put it out there because this is one of the things I mentioned to you before, which was this tornado that, remember, ripped through
Oh
Chicago?
yeah, the Chicago tornado. Yeah.
So the Chicago tornado happened, I think, last week.
Yeah.
They're showing all the devastation on these small little towns. It was supposed to hit Chicago, but it didn't. It hit the small little, I guess, rural towns, which in my mind is definitely some of the HARP activity that's probably going on, where they're able to what do you call it, manipulate
Yeah.
the true manifestation of what Mother Nature was probably trying to do.
And then if you can't, just go watch the movie Sharknado.
All right.
Sharknado.
What's that
Yeah.
about? All right.
Tornado, Sharknado.
All right. So what the deal was that during the period of time that Chicago was supposed to be hit, Toronto was supposed to be hit
storm,
too, which I think goes right in line with what exactly you were talking about, which was the fact that Toronto and Chicago are supposed to be sister cities.
Yeah.
Now we think that they're sister cities because of this modern day stuff, but what we don't understand is that we were sister cities
Yeah.
tens of thousands of years ago.
Right.
So what's been happening is the European who stepped in to take on our position, because remember it's the divan that's running everything, they've been running it corruptly. And what's happened is Mother Nature is saying, I'm going to spank both of you. Chicago for doing the real stuff, and Toronto, you're going to get a backhand because you've been doing it.
Guilty by association.
Guilty by association. Now what happened was, when this tornado hit, and I told Van Cheek this, only one person died in the tornado. She was 67 years old. 6 and 7 make 13.
Right.
850 planes were delayed on that same day in Chicago. 8 and 5 make 13. Allah is speaking to us.
For real. Loud.
So
Are you hearing?
Yeah. And remember, it says in the Quran, or is it in I think it's in the Red Book, it says that there's a cloud in the west, and it tells you rain is coming.
Yep.
Right? You can discern the signs of the skies, but you're not discerning the signs of the Holy Breath. And the Holy Breath is speaking to us. And it's speaking to us in all of the deaths that we have seen.
Right.
They're telling us that.
Letting us know.
And then they're giving us the reflection of that in nature, letting us know that the same hubs that aren't doing their stuff are going to get it. I mean, it's there. I don't have to tell you that.
For sure.
And that's why, and that is why I think the prophet told you, because remember, prophets are prophets because they can see in the future. He knew at that point that all of us would be watching some news.
Right.
So just open your ears and listen. Anyway.
Wait, 902. 902. Pretty good. So we're just gonna do that closeout right now. Don't forget Moorish Heritage and History School, MHHS Eyes Wide Open at 9:30. Right? So give me a little time, take a little break on. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Um, the thing with the ads, to be real, is they want fiat for the ads to stop. Because the people get ads when they're watching.
Oh,
Yeah, they get ads. Like, they get ads.
really, eh?
Yeah. That's all you get in the comments. Damn ads.
Wow, these guys are good, eh?
They know what they're doing, yo. So, you know what I'm saying? Just watch the YouTube version if you want no ads.
Oh, wow.
Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love.
Oh, one last thing. I was reading the almanac. It said that as of yesterday, the crescent moon was passing to the left of Venus, which, when you look at any one of the 101s or the front of the Quran, it shows the prophet holding. You had the red bullet. And where is the moon? It is to the left of Venus. So to me, if this isn't another sign yet again, right, telling you,
Let us know.
it's the rebirth.
The rebirth is on. Islam to all the Moors. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Father of love.
Father of love,
Truth.
truth,
Peace.
peace,
Freedom.
freedom,
And justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector,
My guide.
my guide,
And my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night.
By night
And by day.
and by day,
Through his holy prophet.
through his holy prophet,
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
Islam.
Ashe. Rome will fall.
Rome
And
has
Rome
fallen.
must fall. And Rome has fallen. Islam Moors. Peace, love, and hotep.